Right. Now, my topic is social media, a ban or bone, a pediatrician perspective. So we know whether we refuse it or not, we live in a digital era. Whether we like it or not, we are digital citizens. That's a truth we have to accept. Internet is one area which is very amazing and alluring. It is a wonderful world where we learn, we collaborate, we interact, and research has been so easier nowadays because of so much of data being available at the fingertips. This nobody can deny. If this is so for adults who has grown up so much, think of the little children and the adolescent who are in the little steps who are growing now. So it is like a rabbit hole where they find that world very strange, amazing, attractive, but sometimes it is weird and fearful also. So what we are going to do about it? So if digital world, whether we are going to embrace it or we are going to deny it, that's what we are going to see in the next few slides. So define social media. So social media or online platforms used by the children and the young people to connect with the friends and family. They share media content and form social networks. So the commonest social networks being used as per the latest data is the commonest being the YouTube, followed by Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp. So the worldwide statistics show around every day about 10.5 billion minutes has been spent on social network, and around 58 million tweets are sent per day, and 350 million photos are being uploaded on Facebook each day. Around 95% of tweens between the age of 12 to 17 are using internet, and 26% are using Twitter, and 11% are on Instagram. So just imagine what they're doing with their mobile phones. This is what happening each and every day, right? So, but the sad thing is that the students who are on social networking sites score 20% less on academic performance. So this is a worldwide statistics, which is done in America, which showed that about 85% of teens are using YouTube, and Instagram 72% and Snapchat 69%. The Indian statistics is no different. Okay, so it is 85% of YouTubers in India, followed by Facebook users and Instagram users. Around our Indian statistics is around 487 million users are there who are using WhatsApp every day. And the leading YouTube media network is, leading social media network is YouTube. Now, let's talk about the pros. So what happens? So last 1.5 years of COVID has shown that if there has not been any internet, what would happen to our kids who has been on the schools? They would have ended up uneducated maybe. So online is not very bad. It's how we handle it. So what are the pros of social media? They promote collaborative learning, enhance creativity through graphics. It's a platform for showcasing talents and achievements of young people. It fosters a sense of connection and belonging. It serves as a social support for children with chronic disability like thalassemia and diabetes. Not only that, it also acts as a platform for advocacy for youngsters like climatic change and also child rights. It fosters socialization. And as I said, the research and information becomes accessible at our fingertips. So opportunities for community engagement is there across the globe. We can connect to anybody at any time, everywhere. So, it also enhances the technological skills, and it increases the creativity. Think of slides without any pictures or videos. That would be so boring, right? So these are the pros we have talked about. Now come to the cons. So the most common complaints, what the parents complain is addiction, particularly the gaming addiction, which is very common, followed by anxiety and depression of not of continuous usage will cause. Then cyberbullying, which is very underreported throughout the world. Then online predators, sexting, exposure to targeted advertising and marketing, and breach of privacy. So what is cyberbullying? The repeated intentional posting of demeaning and derogatory posts and or pictures. I said it was underreported. Really, it is underreported because when they did a study, they found that 70% of teens have seen cyberbullying, but only 1 in 10 tell their parents. And those who have been cyberbullied, goes for 20% of them had attempted suicide, which is very alarming. So it is need of the hour to do a proper study in cyberbullying, really. So we have to have school or in the home alone, home also, we have to ask certain questions to the kids, at least occasionally, to know really they are undergoing this cyberbullying or not, right? So it has, this is the data on December 2021, which shows number of cyber crimes that is reported is only 50K, and the most reported being the Uttar Pradesh state. So what are the questions we have to ask to the children? So one, you have to ask whether they have experienced cyberbullying. What is cyberbullying? Calling names or post or posting the pictures in a different way. Then how did it impact you? How did that affect them? How did it stop on its own? What they did to stop it? So ask them why they are not sharing this thing with their parents, right? So what should you do if you are cyberbully? So to know whether they know the digital hygiene and digital rules. Would you say anything online? So what they have to be taught is that if you don't talk to a person straight away certain words, you should not post it in your online content too. That is hurtful. That is what cyberbullying is all about. And what can you do if you see someone else is being cyberbullied? So we have to encourage them to report to the parents or the elders. So then comes to the online predators, which is very alarming. We know what is sexting, that is posting sexually explicit material on chatting platforms. It has been shown that 88% of private images are stolen by pornographic websites and posted in social media, and 20% of teens has done this. So how to identify the child has been under online predation? So these are the warning signs actually. A child who has been suddenly withdrawn, like to be alone, suddenly not using the system, right? Not wanting to be involved with family or school activities. They have trouble sleeping, and they quickly switch off the screen. This we commonly see. Quickly switch off the screen and close this program where an adult is present. So unusual interest in the self-harm or suicide. Display of unusual anger, sadness, depression, and a decrease in self-esteem. Sometimes they even discuss about the revenge on those persons who are showing them, predating them, and changes in appetite. So what are the other cons? That is physical health. As Madam said, those who are exceeding screen time will cause us obesity, sedentary lifestyle, disturbed sleep, headache, eye strain, neck, back, and wrist strain. The mental problems include, if less than 2 years, during the period of speech development, they are going to have a delayed speech. We are seeing a lot of children with this problem nowadays. And the content they watch in the media, that is aggression, violence, and hyperactivity, fear of missing out, due to peer pressures, and fear of being left out of something. Then poor concentration, desire for instant gratification, distorted perception of sex, and drug use, self-harm, anxiety, and depression. What is they have a lot of friends in the media, but if you take them to a function, they don't know how to behave with the elders or even with the same age group. So this leads to reduced socialization in person. It also causes social anxiety. As usual, because they spend so much of time in the media, they have a decreased academic performance. So what the parents should do? This is most important question each and every parent is asking nowadays, right? First, we have to familiarize ourselves what we are giving to our children, right? We have to analyze what the children is doing. Then we have to allow. Then listen to the children, ask them why they need such a media or thing, why they are using such an app or website. Then we have to educate them regarding the digital hygiene and the online safety. So it is the parents who has to set the ground rules. That is very important. So which social media platform the child should use and who they are connected with, who are the friends, what kind of things they should post and they should not post. And make sure this should be followed by all the members of the family. But we should not spy them, but we have to have a watch on them. With their permission, we have to look into the accounts and who are their friends list, we have to know. Then listen to them. So that it has been told by the teens that when they use social media, they feel more independent. So this is particularly seen in the teenage age group. So these are the 10 golden rules to be taught to all the students or all the kids. I think this fits for adults too. First, be kind. Say nice things always. You don't know who is going to read that post. So it may be hurtful for them. So always be kind. So you have to post only those things you will talk to a person. It's like talking to a person. The second rule is that always be safe. Know who you are friending and who you are talking to. So as in the picture you can see, right? 10 years old and who is the other 10-year-old. Then be secure. Please don't share any personal information. You don't know who is going to take those informations. Be legal. Don't download music or images that are free, because nothing is free. Be protected. Please don't share any password or personal details. Be alert. If you think somebody is being cyberbullied or online predating or sexting, please inform the adults. Be very smart. Use only positive word to build your online brand. Don't think criticizing others will increase your image. Be responsible. Don't access sites or apps you shouldn't access. Be conscientious. Be truthful. Don't tell lie or gossip. And be modest. Don't take or share any inappropriate pictures on the internet. Now, being said all these, now what happens when a child is being cyberbullied or online predating? What we have to do? See, this is not the child's fault, first of all, right? So please don't criticize the children or the teens. Then they will lose confidence in you and they will not confide to you in future. So be friendly to the kid. So talk to them. First of all, we should not reply to the offender, but you have to block their number and save the evidence. And we have to report the incidents. Don't think we can handle all these things. We are supposed to report these things in the cybercrime websites or to the child helpline 1098. You have to file the complaint and get a legal advice. So this is the age criteria fixed by the platforms, social media platforms. But I don't think anybody is going to following this, right? So it is said that Twitter to be posted only after 13, to be included after 13 years, LinkedIn after 14 years, WhatsApp after 16 years, and Tinder after 17 years, and Path after 18 years, and YouTube is supposed to be watched only after 18 years. But this is not at all happening. We know most of the mothers are feeding their children from the day 6 months of life. Complimentary feeding is being given by showing videos like from the Pebbles rhymes and stories from all the thing. Otherwise, the children are not eating. That's a complaint from most of the parents. So I think YouTube age should be reduced to 6 months of age. Right. So what happens now? What is the real statistics? It has been shown that over 5 million Facebook users are under the age of 13 years, and 78% of the parents had created those accounts for them. And nearly 80% of Pinterest users are females, of which 24% are aged between 8 to 14 years. And access to the smartphones made 42% of the tweens are the age group between 8 to 12 years. Post risky pictures on the Instagram. Only 18% have posted pictures that they later regretted sharing. And 16% of the tweens consider Twitter as their favorite network. 75% of their tweets are either derogatory or self-centered. So I think this is the time we have to think about it. And this caption, before you post anything, we have to teach them. Think first, is it true what you're going to post? 2, is it helpful? Is it inspiring? Is it necessary to post? Is it kind? This should be followed for all the posts. Now, being said this, safety is not a gadget, but it's a state of mind, and safety first is always safety. So regarding the use of digital media, safety is the first thing we have to take in hand. Now, let's talk about digital hygiene. So parents are the one who are going to teach this digital hygiene, because as pediatrician, we have to first sensitize the parents regarding the digital hygiene. So digital hygiene include, we have to provide a very nurturing, healthy environment at home where the children can share ideas and their feelings, and the parents should talk to the children. Then you have to balance screen time with the physical activities. With online classes, we cannot ban the screen time totally. So we have to balance screen time with the physical activities. Then switch off gadgets at least 1 hour before bedtime. Then while using the gadgets, you have to have a proper posture. As your mobile phones are supposed to be handled, you should not bend the neck and hold the phones. It's supposed to be handled at the eye level. And when you use the system, you have to sit properly with the chair back. And you have to get up every 20 minutes and stretch it out. These things we have to teach to our children while using the gadgets. Then follow 20-20-20 rule for a healthy vision. For every 20 minutes, 20 seconds of break, and you have to look at an object 20 meters away. This will provide a healthy vision. Then you have to have a proper privacy setting for all the gadgets what the kids are going to use. And you have to view with the children and monitor the online content, what they are watching and what they are doing. Then, as madam said, we have to use media for teachable moments, right? That is academic alone, and academic alone always, at least for the initial years. Then we have to have digital free zone in the home, like in the kitchen, dining room, and in the bedroom. We should not use gadgets. And gadgets should always be placed where all the adults can see what the child is watching and what the child is using. And family should have digital fasting time where at least few hours nobody should touch any gadgets, and they have to sit with the family. This is a very toughest thing to do, I think so. And actually parents should act as a role model for digital usage. If what the parents doesn't do, the children is not going to do. So that process of digital fasting time is called digital detox. It has a lot of benefits, like it reduces stress, it improves the sleeping habits, it helps to maintain work-life balance and allows a more positive approach to life, and reduces the FOMO, like the fear of missing out. Now, regarding the take-home message, I just want to add a few points. Just avoid media less than 2 years. I think it is easy to say than done, because we are seeing the complementary feeding practices every now and then. And the pros of using a social media include we have to promote learning and creativity and social interaction. The cons include physical, psychological, and social stresses. But this can be tackled by implementing proper digital rules, following a proper digital hygiene, and we have to nurture responsible digital citizenship. And any problem at the earliest, if there is a media addiction, signs of earliest addiction, we have to consult a professional how to deal with it. And parents, they have to act as a role model for a healthy media usage. So at the end of the session, what I want to know is that media is not something we have to fear it, because digital era is coming. We are in the digital era actually. So children are going to use their gadgets. What we have to teach them is to have a balance between how to balance between physical activity and the media, and what they have to watch. Never trust whatever is getting posted. And they have to teach about, they have to be taught about digital rules, digital hygiene, and digital detox too. And so I think